Hey, I'm John. Welcome to my podcast. What you have been hearing was the incredibly awful noise a bad chord can make, but I think it got resolved. I'm going to turn this back up a little bit. This is episode 27 of the Snout. We Were a Band. I'm John, and we are listening to a tape from 4/2/98, so April 4th, or April 2nd, 1998, and the tape says, Ryan sits in and says goodbye. And then as I look at the tape on the other side, it says Ryan sits in, and then it also says John M. Hawaiian Steel or Rick. And what I've discovered after going over these tapes some is that this is actually my brother's brother-in-law, Rick Dimmel, playing the Hawaiian Steel guitar that I purchased at a thrift store or a music store, I can't remember, on the first track of this tape, which is called Daddy Drives a UFO, which turns into Family Trip, followed by I Wish the World Was Black and White, representing her soul, The Old Man Laughed. I think that's all one thing. Rambling Happiness, I'm not sure about. As I Lay Dying goes into side two. That's when Ryan starts sitting in, I believe, is on As I Lay Dying. So let's turn this up a little bit, and we'll hear a little of Daddy Drives a UFO with guest guitarist Rick playing the Hawaiian Steel, which he had never played before, I don't believe. I believe Rick got as weird as we were. Maybe weirder. That's pretty cool, that sound. So, that's pretty cool. And Mike comes in with the lyrics here at some point. If I'm not mistaken, Daddy Drives a UFO and Family Trip could be 25 minutes long. And Rick had no problem. He was having a blast, I think. Rick, actually a professional musician, actually can really play. And teaches guitar and plays in his own band as well, so, and still plays in his own band 20-some years later, so yeah, he's a real musician. Turn it back up a little more. So that's pretty jamming. And I haven't had the opportunity to talk to Rick. I actually sent him a link to some of our stuff, asking him what he thought about it. And he was the one that reminded me that he played with us. I didn't remember, and yes, he did. And this is the music that I'm playing and the rest of the band playing, I think, is fairly simple. But Rick is just wailing over it. It's awesome. And wailing in a non-traditional, very snoutish manner, which is awesome. So he got into it. All right, we're going to fast forward now and try to get to where Mike's singing a little bit and move into Family Trip. That's pretty cool. To have somebody come in that didn't know us. I mean, I knew Rick some. I'd see him at family gatherings for the holidays and stuff, and he's a really nice guy. And I just said, hey, man, you want to come by? And he said, yeah. And he showed up with his guitar case, and then he sat down at the thrift store Hawaiian Steel guitar. The thing about that guitar is that it was a thrift store find, I believe, or Salvation Army, or God, I can't even remember. It's so long ago. But it was brand new, but it was a very, very inexpensive thing when it was first put out in, I think it was from sometime in the early 70s. It might have been later. I can't really remember, but I mean, it was brand spanking new, beautiful. But it was just cheap. I mean, the frets and stuff were just painted on. I think it was a Sears and Roebuck version. But it was in beautiful shape, and it worked. And he got some great noise out of it. So that's pretty cool. Let's see where we're at here. That's pretty cool guitar work, Rick, if you ever hear this. All right, I'm going to move it forward, though, because we're trying to find where Mike starts doing his thing. So we're going to move forward. But, yeah, I don't know Rick's thoughts on playing with us. He barely remembered it, but he remembered it, and that's why I knew this was him. But I would love to hear his thoughts on it after he hears it, because it's pretty cool, you know. Let's try to find Mike here.
Please significant about that number.
All right, let's see.
Spread all about the galaxy on the family trip to Sirius B.
So, basically, Mike and his family go on a family trip to Sirius B, and he gets involved with a single-celled organism prostitute, which Mike is a single-celled organism at this point as well, because everybody there is or something. And because he impregnates a single-celled organism, it starts multiplying exponentially, and he becomes responsible for the destruction of the universe, and he's racing back to Earth to warn them that they're all going to die and there's nothing they can do about it. So, yeah, I'm going to turn it up a little bit again, just because I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I think about the people of Sirius B, curious sort. Cell organisms. Most millions of atoms go together to well known for its pleasure.
Ah, yes, the Snout. Definitely an acquired taste. All right, I'm going to move us forward. This one goes into a really cool thing called Wish the World Was Black and White. We're going to try to get to that one here. That one. In this one, I think Mike was having difficulties with his female boss. And he kind of let some of that out. Let's see where we're at here. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's a really, really long one, you know. Yeah, Mike starts out with some commentary on, I believe, his work situation. He was working for like a design studio doing really cool wall texturing, marbling, and all kinds of cool techniques to get really, really cool wall textures. But the woman he worked with was kind of flaky, I think. I'm not positive the exact situation, but if I remember, that was kind of what was going on.
I reckon you were right. Armageddon is here.
All right, we'll listen to this for a second. I think we're just past him singing. All right, let's keep moving forward just because we got a full tape to cover today. Yeah, this is the beginning of it. Let's listen to this for a bit. I think as this was going on, Ryan showed up. And Ray was here that night too. And there might have been Dave was there that night too. You'll hear Dave Sumner, Mike's brother, playing the recorder. The recorder, that's the word I was looking for. Just little recorder blips here and there that I think it's in this one that fit pretty well. So now we're just trying to get started. And I start playing a keyboard part, and everybody, I think, kind of rolls with it. Very simple. I'm not sure if Rick plays more on this one or not.
And it represented death in her soul. Piss on your own damn time. I wish the world was black and white.
Apparently somebody went to take a leak and I got mad.
We wouldn't need you. You and your design studio. I wish the world was black and white. No jobs for Elizabeth or Barbie. You wouldn't be worth my piss. I wouldn't let you drink it if you were inclined to do so.
Apparently, Mike did not like this person very much. Not even enough to let him drink his piss.
I wish the world was black and white.
And if you notice,
I'm glad that the earth is round.
I just keep plunking away slowly changing this keyboard, and it builds into a pretty cool thing. And Mike comes up with a whole different set of lyrics here for the end of this, and it becomes a whole different thing.
And Einstein would have had to say a lot of other things that were equally as smart. I'm sure longitude and latitude would mean a whole lot more, but we'd be absent of a celestial sphere.
It does not need to be complicated to sound complicated.
Species would not be inclined to evolve. And the snout would still be a single-celled organism.
And the recorder is perfect there. This is kind of a nice groove.
And if the world was flat, the authors of realist novels
I don't hear Rick playing on this.
would find new metaphors that were significant in the representation of your soul.
I believe that guitar is John Mosdale.
But the metaphor I like best is about this homeless little old man. Open wounds on his face, pus oozing out of his sores.
All right. So I know which song will be released with this tape because that's really cool. Just really a cool groove.
Took every opportunity to offend children and women.
And Mike turns this into a weird story about
Represent the proletariat.
a woman cheating on her husband
And he'll represent
and
soul
ruining
of
her
our
life
heroine, Emma.
and committing suicide. Jesus. And I don't even want to know how his story relates to the reality in his life at that time. It's like, wow, if this is what came
Emma's
out.
been having several extramarital affairs.
All right, we're going to move forward because I'll release that. You can listen to the whole thing.
And her infidelity.
Yes, that is called Wish the World Was Black and White, and then I have a little arrow going into representing her soul, the old man laughed. And we're going to find, I think the Rambling Happiness is just some stuff between songs as we're switching instruments around. Ryan's going to sit in on the As I Lay Dying after that, and yeah. All right, so we're in that... So this is just the music in between before Ryan gets settled in to play some guitar. And I like the fact that I kept recording and hear people talking to each other while the people are still playing. And it's just, it was a cool atmosphere, man.
My friend John has beautiful verbiage. He hates it when I remind him of that.
Yes, I had nice verbiage. I think he was talking about me. He might have been talking about John Mosdale, but I don't think so. It's a clap song. All right, let's move forward. That is just titled Rambling Happiness, and it's kind of fun. I mean, not a song, but none of these actually are songs. They're all just ramblings. Random ramblings. That's all we ever did. I mean, Oh, yeah, here's Ryan. Now, Ryan, another amazing guitar player. A little different thing. Rick's a little more old school. Ryan is into serious metal and just really intense. And for him to sit down with us, it's interesting. It's really cool, and he's awesome. So this is As I Lay Dying.
My brother Bill, the pine box they'd lay me down in. But it was my request to be buried in Mississippi next to my dead mother. So the family loaded me up right before I thought I'd die. Put me in a pine box, hitched me up to a mule cart.
I believe Mike is basing this on William Faulkner's As I Lay Dying.
And I just laid in it as they drugged me from Alabama
In fact, I'm certain of it.
to Meridian, Mississippi, where my dead mother was lying.
Oh, hey, whoop. That's the end of the tape. Holy shit. Let's turn it over and keep her going. Because the nice thing about this is while we were jamming and I was recording to cassette tape, the cassette tape player that my house roommate, actual house owner, where I lived at the time, was letting us use had auto reverse on record mode. So it would just start recording on the other side of the tape. There's always a little gap, but we caught a lot of music that I would have missed if I didn't notice. And I never noticed when the tape ended. It didn't, because I was in headphones and there was just a ton of noise. So that auto reverse cassette player recorder captured a lot of music that we would have missed, which was pretty awesome. Thank you, Caffeine Propulsion Laboratories. Coffee John. Shout out to Coffee John.
On the recorder.
All right, I'm going to fast forward this a little bit just to get to the part where Ryan is really kicking ass, because he starts doing a nice guitar riff, and yeah, it's cool. And it shouldn't take long to find it. Oh, it sounds like they want a different drum beat. Let's see what happens here, because I think Ryan starts rocking out, and it takes off, becomes a cool thing. Hear our process. Oh, I'm fucking with him. There we go. Found a good beat. There we go.
900 degrees on the surface of Venus. Hot enough to melt Teflon.
All right, I'm going to move it forward a little bit because we're not quite there yet, but it's starting to pick up. Let's do that.
Right now,
That's pretty cool. My keyboard part, once again, very, very simple. Play it on the low end of the scale on the right channel. The recorder's still there. I have to say that's a little less snoutish than some. All right, we're going to move forward. Very cool, very great guitar playing by Ryan, and it's a neat song. I like it. It's maybe less snoutish than some because we're kind of catering to Ryan a little bit, but he was a hell of a good guitar player. Let's see.
tasted like a kiwi fruit, like a pineapple drink of Chablis. Travel to our country.
My keyboards have gotten a little more complicated there.
Of Arthur.
Mike's gone off on a completely different story.
Travel as far as Beaumont.
All right, so we're going to move forward and try to get to, I don't know, I think the lynching tree is part of As I Lay Dying, if I'm not mistaken.
Love it, baby seal. Faint and worm board. Making it look like granite. Steel worms. As I lay dying.
Oh, he's still singing As I Lay Dying. Who knows? This one rambled quite a bit as far as the lyrics go. He was talking about some the most exotic prostitute in Beaumont, Texas, who moved there. Her name was Sambuca or Midori or something like that. That turns up in other music. All right, that one seems to be winding down. And
visiting overseas.
well, we're still in it. Well, it has As I Lay Dying, and then it says the lynching tree, And then it says, as I lay dying. So we must have turned it into something and then come back to this, or it was all just the same thing. I'm expecting that's probably the case, because there was not a ton of variation in the middle of a thing other than us changing our parts a little bit here and there, but the chord structure pretty much stayed the same. So it was probably just part of the same thing. That's what I'm guessing. That's kind of our MO. And like I say, I listened to this stuff, wrote it down, just trying to come up with titles at the time. If you look at the CD cover, the cassette tape cover, on the video, the thumbnail or the picture that's on the video, you'll see that there's very light writing for all the title tracks, and then I wrote in some other stuff to try to round out what was going on. I wrote in the stuff about Ryan and John or Rick, and I don't think that was John on the steel guitar. I think that was Rick. Let's see where we're at. Okay, so before I turn this up, if you remember, we did a song called Caterpillars and Alligators, and I released it, and then we never really played that again. But when Ryan sat in, and after we play the lynching tree, we did a different version of Caterpillars and Alligators with Ryan playing guitar. It's called Helicopters, Alligators, and the Infamous Tube Street. Although on here it's just called Caterpillars and Alligators with Tube Street in parentheses. And that was one of the times that we played a song again, but this doesn't really sound like the original. My keyboard part's pretty much the same. But let's turn it up and we'll listen.
I just sat in the Caterpillar. Helicopters began shining their lights all throughout the field. I was worried. I took the next chance and I ran for it. I made it into the woods. The woods of Devil's Backbone. It's a good place to go mud. Hiding in the woods behind a bush. Found a bottle of tequila there.
Mike, if you remember, I had seen a sensationalized news story about kids drinking around Tube Street in the general area. And the way they did the news story was say, Mom, Dad, do you know where your kids are? They're probably out somewhere drunk. And that becomes a line in this song.
Stories about the alligator. Sat by the pond in moonlight. Thinking about the alligator. Bryce's alligator that we let loose there a year ago. Fully adapted to fresh water. The funny thing about that pond, it used to be filled with bullfrogs, crickets, birds, and other forms of life. But after we set that alligator free, you couldn't hear the frogs anymore. Couldn't catch fish.
Oh, just so you know, this is, and I remember playing this is pushing my ability on the keyboard to the limit to keep up with this, because I am not a good keyboard player.
The alligator that chased away all the wildlife that we once knew. The helicopters were gone now. I knew all my friends were in jail. But Channel 11 got their series, their weekly series of Do You Know Where Your Children Are? That was the Tube Street. Mom, Dad, do you know where your kids are? My guess is they're drunk. Drunk and hanging around Tube Street. Mom, Dad! Your children are on acid! Waiting to get eaten by alligators! Jumping off a telephone poles trying to land on the moon!
I love that. That's a cool version. All right, we're going to move forward because this episode is getting way too long. It's going to be a 45-minute episode at this rate. Oh, we're still in that. All right, we'll keep moving. There shouldn't be a whole lot. There's this thing called Is It Really On, which I think is kind of spacey, so hopefully we get to that and we'll get through this tape. The Ho Hum Dum Dum, I don't know what that is. I wrote at the end. Must be Is It Really On? Then it says parentheses Ho Hum Dum Dum that I wrote in later, so maybe that means it's boring. I don't know. This is it, though.
Somewhere on a desert highway.
He starts singing Neil Young.
Rides a Harley Davidson.
We were all big Neil Young fans.
Blonde hair. Blowing in the wind.
Somebody's back on the slide. I'm not sure who. I think Ryan's still on guitar, and I think Rick is playing the slide now too, or maybe John is. I'm not positive. Alright, let's move forward a little bit, see where that goes. Well, I know it goes on for a while, and Mike talks about, is it really on? He gets all philosophical.
Cartesians would question whether or not this thing was actually here. And I'm worried about if it's on or not.
This is what you get when you're in the middle of a philosophy major. I think Mike was English in philosophy. That's pretty spacey. Well, I think that is the end of this tape, this song. Is It Really On? I'm going to let that play out for you. My name is John Dundas, and this has been episode 27 of the Snout. We were a band. I think the longest episode to date. Sorry about that. Sometimes I get caught up listening and I get taken away. So we'll let this play out and we'll see you next time.
We're worried about if it's on. The car would ask if it was really there.